I'm kind of perplexed about how to introduce this one. I mean, I've never really covered a romantic comedy before, especially not one about cannibalism. Mai-Chan's Daily Life is a film based on a manga by the same name, and that manga has a 2.9 out of 5 on Goodreads.com. I don't know why I found that fact interesting, but here it is in my video. No problem. And the manga is written and illustrated by Wata Uziga, which is a very controversial figure. He's basically an Eroguro mangaka. What is Eroguro? Don't Google it, and if you do, please keep safe search on. You don't need to be on some kind of government list, trust me. And it was adapted to the screen by director Sade Sato, who's a very interesting person, and we'll cover him a little bit more later on in this channel's life. And this film already starts with a scene that I can't show on here, so I'll try to describe it to the best of my ability without going into too much details. And that scene is a torture scene, and we don't know who anybody is. All we know is that there are ladies getting tortured by other ladies, while a man in a wheelchair is just looking at them, and he looks to be really enjoying the show. The scene is edited poorly. There is a lot of jump cuts and a lot of weird video effects, kind of reminiscing me of Woman's Flesh, My Red Guts, which is never a compliment. And also the camera work is very poor. The only good thing is the gore, and I was sitting there watching this scene thinking to myself, holy shit, I hope the rest of the film isn't shot and edited like this. Spoiler? It is? Why? I don't get it. You have these wonderfully well-made gore scenes and you ruin them by having terrible video digital effects, pixelated, black and white, and a lot of digital zoom-ins, which also never look good. Why again? That wasn't a good scene to set the mood, let's just say it like that. But I still had hope for the rest of the film, because like I said, at least the gore looked good, and the girls were pretty cute, even though they were getting butchered. I swear, I don't have a cannibalism kink. Stop judging me. It then goes to the intro, which is really reminiscent of that Marvel intro. We get a lot of shots of the of the manga. Please don't fucking sacrifice me in the comments. And honestly, it looks like a manga I would actually really enjoy. Not in that way. No, not in that way. Canadian government, I didn't say nothing. Please, I really like to travel, don't put me on that list. And after that wonderful intro, we finally get to scenes I can show on YouTube, for like 2 minutes, but still. We meet Miyako, a young lady who's looking for a job. And like the Smith said, I was hoping for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. Because holy shit, is her line of work not gonna be fun. And she's looking on a website, and for some reason she sticks to the idea of having to cosplay a maid. At first she wants to work in a maid cafe, which as someone who's been to a maid cafe, please don't. And then eventually she finds a very well-paying job, which is for a live-in maid for this very rich and eccentric man, and somehow she still has to dress like the fetishized versions of maid, which I think is just the only kind of maids that exist in Japan at this point. She gets a letter telling her, hey, you've got the job, you only need to come visit us and we need to do a physical exam, which is just her naked and the man in the wheelchair looking at her saying, oh yeah, that's good. But while she goes to the remote area where the man lives, we get a little scene of a maid who's already at the home cleaning the home of the gentleman, and it just looks like somebody googled creepy room and copied the exact set design. And whatever, she gets cut and then we get a cross dissolve and her cut is gone. This is May, and May basically has the same abilities as Wolverine. Anyway, we go back to Miyako, who finally found the house, and she passes the physical exam because just look at her. And then during breakfast she sees her first weird thing from her new bosses. They have to dress as cats and roleplay as cats by licking milk in a giant bowl while they're on all fours. Now this is a sign that the job might be a little sexualized, I don't know. And during that scene, Mai kind of drops the milk on the floor, and she is punished by, of course, having her finger cut off. And then in the next scene, her finger is back on. And Miyako is like, this is weird. And she doesn't ask any questions. Why would she? And then later that night, she is sleeping, and then she wakes up, and she is thirsty. Not in that way. Actually, she needs water. Thirsty in that way. While she's walking to get her water, she hears some weird noises, and it kind of sounds like they're filming a porno. So she stops by the door that leads to the torture dungeon. YouTube. This is a family-friendly channel. And then she sees the headmaid take a fork and eat Mai's eyes. While again, our master in his wheelchair is just looking at it and having way too much fun. But Miyako doesn't react the way we expect her to do. She actually really enjoys the scene and she starts rubbing it down there. Rubbing the old cooter, as we called it. And then she goes back to her room and she's like, holy shit, this is a sadistic place. Holy shit, what did I just see? Holy shit, I'm horny now. Which is, again, very normal reaction to have. And then when she wakes up, she sees that Mai's has like the one of those pirate thing that covers your eyes. And instead of being like, holy shit, that wasn't a nightmare, she's like, holy shit, that wasn't a nightmare, let's fuck. And then she jumps on Mai, they start making out, and then she bites off her tongue, and then they get caught. And then the headmaid is like, yo, what are you girls doing? Go back to work. Except Mai, because it's her day off, I guess. She goes to the park, eats a sandwich, thinks about what just happened, and now she's in love. And during that time, Miyako is being interrogated by the headmaid. And the headmaid is like, oh, I see you enjoyed what you saw last night. Do you want to come in and participate? And Miyako is like, yeah, of course. And they plan what they're gonna do. Basically, Miyako wants to eat, literally, Mai-Chan, which takes the expression of something is so adorable I would eat it to another fucking level. When Mai comes back from her little trip, she sees a letter saying, come to the red room. As she enters the red room, you can see Miyako in a very, very revealing leather suit. Hot. And what will follow is another scene I can't really show nor really describe in any details, but let's just say that Miyako had a very large appetite. And then after we see about 15 minutes of pure gore, which is amazing, again, the gore effects in this film really are great to see. It compensates for the horrible filming and editing style. And after that scene, Miyako sits on the bed with Mai and, you know, they're in love. And then she fingers where she got chainsawed and, yeah, that's the end. So, Mai-Chan's daily life. What did I think? I don't know. On one end, this is just a film that was made to showcase the gore. The plot is very secondary to the gore scenes. But I find myself actually liking the characters. Other than the pervert in the wheelchair and the headmaid, who don't really have any character development, the relationship between Miyako and Mai actually kind of works in a weird way. But of course, all of that is overshadowed by the gore, which again, great job. It's just too bad it's filmed like an amateur student short film. Like I said, the chemistry and relationship between the two main protagonists is actually surprisingly good. The gore is amazing, it's really short. I'd only say the biggest negatives are truly the filming and editing choices. Other than that, you have a film that could actually play well as a double bill with the later, more absurd and comedic types of guinea pig films. Like, obviously this isn't a serious attempt at making a dramatic film about cannibalism. This is just a fun Japanese gore film, and honestly a pretty good attempt at putting manga into real life. Of course, I haven't read the manga, but I can assume the manga goes further just because, you know, it's drawn and you can get away with a lot more. You still have the limitations of budget and of course real life when you're making a film. All in all, if it sounds interesting, you'll probably enjoy it. Take that as you will, and see you guys next time.